Okay, let's do this. I've been trying to unpack why this 𝗦𝗥𝗡𝗦𝗖𝗧𝗦 lawsuit, and more so the hysterical public response to it has been so upsetting to me. Usually I'm really good at emotionally removing myself from legal situations. It's literally my job, but with this one I get upset and I get fucking pissed about random things that I see online about it. Because it's everywhere, even if you're trying to avoid it. And I realize that it's probably because I'm feeling incredibly triggered and re-traumatized as someone who's experienced relationship abuse in the past. But I'm not feeling triggered on behalf of Johnny Depp, though I have repeatedly and publicly acknowledged that I am not taking any sides. Men can and are absolutely victims of relationship abuse, and based on the little bit of testimony I've been exposed to in this court case, it sounds like 𝗏 did allegedly do some pretty malicious shit during the course of their relationship. I'm not denying that. But I am feeling some kind of way about the way that 𝗏 is being inhumanely attacked every day on a global scale. So let me break down why this is upsetting for me and what it means going forward for victims of relationship abuse and related defamation lawsuits. When an abuse accusation is brought up, people generally expect the abused person to be the perfect victim. What is a perfect victim? Someone who didn't do anything wrong on their side ever. We have this like romanticized view of the battered woman whose trauma response, if we think of the like fight, flight, or freeze framework, her trauma response was freeze. She was abused, but she did nothing wrong herself. She didn't fight back. She was a devoted partner, and he was a monster. She's the victim. He's the abuser. It's clean. It's black and white. It's a dichotomy that allows our little reptilian brains to tie up a conflict with a nice little bow, pick sides, and then consider ourselves righteous for having picked the correct side. Unfortunately, if you've ever been the survivor of relationship abuse or worked with survivors, both of which I have done, you know that that's simply not how human relationships work. It's messy. It's complicated. Often both sides are traumatized for whatever reason and in need of help and empathy and emotional support. And sometimes when you're being abused, you fight back in ways that aren't okay. And I think this has been so triggering for me because I was that woman. I probably shouldn't get this vulnerable on main, but here we are. My experience with abuse was never physical, which frankly adds to the complication, but emotional abuse and sexual manipulation often accompany physical abuse, making every situation of relationship abuse a deeply complicated and personal ordeal. I personally spent 1.5 years with a man who would mock me when I got emotional, laugh in my face when I cried, give me the silent treatment when I did or said something that he didn't like, try to control how I spent my own money, and he called me boring or a prude or told me I had a sex problem anytime I denied him sex, which was most of the time because he was horrible to me and my body shut down long before my brain knew what was going on. And one night we were having one of our many arguments, and I truly have no recollection of what it was about, but I was trying to explain to him why I was frustrated, and he laughed at me and wasn't hearing me, so I shoved him. That was it. I shoved him. He wasn't hurt. It didn't escalate beyond that. I should not have done that. No one should do that to the person that they love, but I was feeling unheard, invisible, and desperate in my relationship, and he never let me live it down. He would say things like, "I can't believe you did that to me. I never thought I would be the victim of relationship abuse. Remember when you shoved me? Good thing I didn't get hurt." All the while continuing to manipulate and belittle me on a daily basis. And I believed him. I was the bad person. I was the one with all the problems. I was the crazy one. I was unhinged. And this happened to me a full decade ago, and I have spent the better part of the last decade in therapy working through that relationship. I'm now in a relationship with the most loving, caring man who makes me feel safe and heard and cared for on a level like I truly never thought possible or even that I deserved. And yet I still struggle with this. And the reason I tell you this is not to make you sympathetic to me or even to Amber Heard, but it's to illustrate how abuse works sometimes. How even if both sides act abusive towards each other, there's often a power imbalance in a relationship that allows one person to control the abuse over the other. Nothing about relationship abuse is black and white, and as outsiders, we have no idea and will never know the extent of someone else's relationship trauma, which is why I think it's so upsetting to me to see people taking pretty universally Johnny Depp's side in this case, despite the fact that a court of law in England found her to be credible and found that there was substantial evidence to believe that Depp had abused her, despite the fact that recordings and text messages, evidence being used in court, show him verbally abusing her or saying horrific things to his friends about her. He's openly admitted to painting threatening messages on their walls in his own blood. Court testimony showed showed that he texted his friend and said he wanted to kill her and fuck her burnt corpse afterwards to make sure she's dead. And y'all are defending him? Depp and Heard met in 2009 when Depp was 45 and Heard was 23. She'd been acting for about 5 years, and he was 25 years into his career, and one of the most acclaimed actors in the world, as well as being exceptionally wealthy. Again, I am not taking sides here, I'm just trying to even out the bias I'm seeing all around me by pointing out the very real fact that we don't know who had the upper hand in terms of the power dynamics of the relationship, but it's not like Heard came in with an advantage. And the fact is that based on what's coming out in court, as well as the court in the UK, which again found that Johnny Depp likely abused Amber Heard, both sides did awful things. And yet the court of public opinion has decided Johnny Depp is the victim here, and anyone who isn't 100% team Johnny Depp is taking down the entire Me Too movement by denying that men can be victims of abuse and allowing Heard to get away with making false accusations and hurting real abuse victims everywhere. It's the buffoonery for me. It's the complete lack of nuance in the public's understanding of, I don't know, human nature, how relationships work. It's truly awe-inspiring. And this is a pattern we've seen before, especially in fandoms like Johnny Depp fandom, or anti-fandoms, as some people have been calling it, where people just love to hate a certain celebrity, and they use another person that celebrity apparently wronged as a validation of their unsubstantiated hatred for this person that they've never met. A recent article in The Atlantic pointed out this pattern in fandoms where fan communities would become obsessed with theories that the male objects of their fandom were the victims of less famous female romantic interests. Benedict Cumberbatch fans thought his wife was part of an international crime ring and that she had faked all her pregnancies. One Direction fans said that Louis was gay and the entertainment industry had forcibly closeted him, and that his ex-girlfriend and the mother of his child was central to the conspiracy. And these fandoms would hyperfixate on every detail, proving their claims by examining hundreds of photos and videos, thinking that celebrities were offering tiny secret little Easter eggs and hints in every press interview, every photo, every wave of the hand. And these fans subject these women to body shaming, slut shaming, and absolutely unhinged criminal accusations. The women are seen as glamorous, seductive, malicious, conniving, but also stupid and disgusting. And all the while, these people claim to be feminists, saying that it's the woman who's setting women's rights back and making everyone look bad. My friends, this is the patriarchy at work. Society is quicker to say a woman is a liar and a man is the victim than they are to believe women as a general rule. And while saying she's the liar who's hurting women and victims everywhere, they also lob every weapon the patriarchy has ever used to keep women down at her. Heard's being called a whore, a gold digger, a crazy bitch, manipulative, a monster, a Karen, bipolar. And don't even get me started about the history of using mental illness to control women. Memes claiming to show her doing cocaine while testifying on the stand. TikTok saying Depp should have killed her. And if this is what's being posted publicly on social media, I cannot imagine the level of hatred and death threats she's receiving personally. This is why people don't report abuse. Intentionally false accusations of relationship violence are exceedingly rare. Because why in the hell would you open up this level of scrutiny against yourself, your life, your choices, and how you responded to or didn't respond to the abuse as it was happening? Because if you're not a perfect victim, especially if you're a woman, because let's be honest, if the gender roles were reversed in this case, Heard may be canceled, but the level of hatred would not be this intense. And the male version of Heard in this hypothetical scenario would probably go on to win an Oscar next year. So if you're not the perfect victim because you did something wrong, you fought back, you're an imperfect person, then the world will lob every available insult at you to get you to shut up. Because as a social group, humans are fucking idiots. Incapable of detecting nuance or understanding that there's a lot that can't be known or found out by doing independent true crime internet sleuthing and thinking you're fucking Sherlock Holmes. And here's what this means for victims of abuse. Fewer victims will come forward, especially if they haven't been perfect during the course of their relationship with the abuser. Abusers will feel emboldened to launch defamation lawsuits against the victim because high-profile cases and the related media frenzy paint the picture that false accusations are common and have to be rooted out at all costs. Any abuser with the means to do so can use the threat of a defamation lawsuit to further control their victims. And they can go through with the defamation lawsuit, which then makes their relationship drag on for years, even after they separate, and can ruin the victim's reputation and cost the victim tens of thousands of dollars in attorney's fees. Even for abusers who don't have the means to bring a defamation case, many people are just terrified at the thought of any legal action and may not understand that the person making the threat doesn't actually have the means to make good on that threat. Especially if the victim is an immigrant or someone who has has a heightened fear of getting involved in the US legal system. Abusers can also capitalize on the fact that relationship abuse is murky. Victims are imperfect, and no one besides the couple themselves can truly know what happened behind closed doors, or the nature of the relationship and the power dynamics that played a part in the abuse. Proving emotional abuse and coercion in court can be extremely difficult. There's rarely a smoking gun, and the abuse can be subtle, pervasive, and long-term in a way that can't be communicated in court. So the victim can come forward about being abused, and the abuser can sue them for defamation, and if the victim can't come forward with some smoking gun evidence, photos of physical injuries, medical reports, etc., they could be subject to huge damages that they then have to pay their own abuser. And abusers can also capitalize on the fact that society fucking hates women and revels in any opportunity to tear them down using every weapon in the patriarchy playbook. And you see this being used time and again by famous men after they've been credibly accused by sometimes multiple women. Harvey Weinstein said his accusers were liars motivated by fame and money. Bill Cosby did the same. Hell, one of Harvey Weinstein's lawyers was Lisa Bloom, a woman who's made a name for herself as a victim's advocate who allegedly told Weinstein how to discredit his victims because even she knows it's an effective tactic. Woody Allen said his daughter's molestation allegations were a bid by his vengeful ex to destroy his career. Brett Kavanaugh is a Supreme Court justice, while Christine Blasey Ford gets death threats. In 𝗏 v. 𝗏𝗏, Depp does the same, saying that Heard's false accusations left his reputation in tatters. Even though the public reaction to this case is clear evidence to the contrary, and he'd been doing the work of ruining his own career long before Heard wrote that op-ed. He was known for getting drunk on set, having a temper, he was accused of punching a crew member on set, plus he's been in a string of box office flops. Despite all this, the entire world is rallying around him in a way that truly defies all logic. He is being given empathy and forgiveness for his transgressions in a way Heard is not. As though the fact that she also did things wrong in the relationship means she's lying about the things he did, or even worse, that she deserved what happened to her. It's victim blaming at its finest, and those of us who have survived relationship abuse around the world are watching. We're watching the way the public is reacting, and we're taking note of what could happen to us, perhaps on a much smaller scale, if we come forward about being abused. I feel like that person from the early 2000s who posted that video being like, leave Britney alone! Leave Amber alone! This is nuanced and we don't really know what happened. And even if she's in the wrong, we aren't morally superior people by then lobbing horrific insults and death threats at her or taking sides with a man who has been found by a court of law to have been abusive. And we all feel a little bit embarrassed and ashamed of the way we treated Britney Spears 15 years ago, and it's pretty horrific to look back on pop culture and like SNL skits during that time while she was having a very public mental breakdown and experiencing trauma we had no idea she was experiencing. What if instead of doing this to Amber and then 10 years from now realizing it was a pretty horrible way to treat another human being, what if we just left her the fuck alone and quit treating this extremely complex defamation trial like a fucking circus for our own entertainment? I've turned off the comments for this video because I'm not seeking feedback at this time, and I know there are some of you who I didn't convince to not be horrible people, and I'm not interested in hearing from you. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good day. Bye-bye.